welcome to another video in my little channel. My name is Silvia, and for those of you who still don't know me, I'm a freelance illustrator based in Bologna, and I love children's books and everything related to them. This video will be a bit different with respect to the usual content of this channel, so this will not be a vlog or draw with me or any other kind of video like this. This will be all about why I left physics as my daily job, becoming a freelance illustrator. So, without further ado, let's give a bit of context to this story. Gosh, this will be a long one. And actually it's very hot today, so I will be sweating. Please forgive me. Bear in mind, this will be a kind of long video, so grab a cup of tea, coffee, fresh drink, water bottle, or maybe you prefer to wash your dishes or do whatever you want during this video. That's totally fine, but yeah, bear in mind this will be a bit long. During my high school time, I decided to start studying physics. Since I loved it very much during the high school, thanks also to my teacher. I moved to Rome when I was 18 and I started this crazy journey full of difficulties and challenges, and I loved all of that. On a side note, I had to be honest with you and tell you also that I was undecided between physics and art school. You have to know that I've always drawn since I figured out how to hold a pencil with my hand, and art has always been my dearest hobby. But at that time I couldn't believe art could actually pay bills. It doesn't pay my bills right now, but I'm getting there. So I rejected that idea and went straight to the physics side of the coin. Long story short, 5 years of desperate study, stress, little time for friends and family, but also satisfaction, growth and knowledge. When I achieved the master's degree in particle physics, I decided I wanted to leave Rome, and actually I wanted to leave Rome so bad for so many reasons. And I started participating to different exams and tests all around Italy for a postdoc position. And when I arrived in Bologna, it was 2014. And I saw the city. I decided that was my city, PhD or not. I actually won the PhD position in Bologna, at the University of Bologna, and in that moment my physics career started. I spent 7 years in the university, 3 as a PhD student and the other 4 as a kind of postdoctoral research position. And during those 7 years, so many things happened. I lived in France for 2 years, working at CERN, the European Center of Nuclear Research in Geneva. I changed 7 apartments in 7 years, and that's crazy. That's why I hate moving with all my heart. And I met so many people, and I visited so many countries for work and for fun, like Svalbard Island, which are, I mean, one of the best places I've ever visited. Cambodia, Mexico, I don't know, Japan, Greece, Iceland, I don't know, so many countries. And eventually I figured out that physics is not my cup of tea anymore. During the COVID lockdown, despite the anxiety for the global pandemic and sadness for not meeting my friends and my family for a long time, I actually had time, a lot of time to think. And this is important because usually as a researcher, I worked from 10 to 12 hours a day, feeling guilty for being tired, feeling guilty to stop when I just needed a break. This means I never lived in my apartment for a long period of time. I never exploit, let's say, all the features and comfies of my apartment. While during the lockdown, of course, I had to stay at home all day long, and I started actually enjoying being at home and having time for the first time. I'm repeating time too many times. That's okay. Where are we? I'm also reading the script, guys. This script is so long. I have so many things to say and I don't want to miss anything. So, sorry. Back to it. So yeah, well, during the pandemic I had time to stay inside and I started to enjoy being at home, taking care of my apartment and myself. It was so weird for me because usually I came back home at 8 p.m. and I really never had the energies to leave actually my apartment. So I started enjoying cooking, for example, as everyone in the world during the pandemic. I started enjoying cooking my lunch, watching something nice while eating or during the evening, finding time to draw again and finding time to have a hobby. And yeah, this has been interesting. So of course this is not the actual reason why I left physics, but it actually helped me a lot thinking and doing what I really wanted to do. So I can say it has been crucial. So at that time I started making some little illustrations on my iPad. They were like little comics talking about being a researcher in physics, being, let's say, a female researcher in physics. I enjoyed that kind of illustrations, but I felt like it wasn't actually what I wanted to tell people with my art. And most important, why also my art had to talk about physics. Then October 2020 arrived, and I think that was the big game changer of all this story. As for the previous 2 years, I decided to join Inktober, but this time following the prompt list by Fruity Little Peach. And I already and extensively talked about Peachtober in one of my previous videos that I will leave here somewhere. I don't know where to point my fingers, but it will appear here. So the point was that I had to draw every single day and I had to take my time to draw, since I decided to go for only black ink paintings on Polaroid sizes, and thank God I decided to go for small format. So I finally took my time to make art, and it was the best thing I could have ever done to myself. And I started to meet wonderful people who were actually interested in my art and in what I wanted to say. And I started realizing what I wanted to draw and what not. And this has been a really important process in my artistic life, let's say. So during those 31 days of daily painting, I started unconsciously selecting my style, my storytelling, and also my favorite subjects. So this has been a really important step forward for my artistic path, I think. But yeah, after that I joined another challenge It was a Christmas and wintry challenge called When Nobody's Looking. Actually, this is the English translation of the title, because it was mainly in Italian. And each prompt was a place. So for example, the first prompt was when nobody's looking in the snowy forest, and so on. So this was another big game changer in all this story, because I started to commit myself to digital illustration. I've never done that before, because my art has always been a bit random, just for fun, not telling something specific. While following and joining this challenge, I committed myself to digital illustrations to tell a specific story, and this has been my very first time, actually. Of course, the fun of illustrating something, of creating an illustration, is always here, otherwise everything is pointless. But now I can feel better the concept that I want to express, the style and the subjects. I love drawing. Another important aspect is that I saw people really engaged with my art, really interested in what I wanted to say somehow, and this made me realize I had something to talk about and to share with the world. You know, it has been a weird and sudden flash in my mind, and I decided to commit to illustration as far as I could go. Okay, so here you are probably asking yourself why I'm talking about all this stuff instead of why I left physics. I can assure you that everything is related, everything is connected, and all the facts that I told you till now led me to the final doubt. Did I really enjoy the job I was doing daily? Was I really enjoying physics? Did I have the sensation of satisfaction in my job? And most important, why I was not waking up happy and full of energy for this job anymore. So why have I decided to quit my physics career? Well, where do I start? So I don't want to be too specific or too technical in this video. I won't go into much detail or examples, because they will be strongly related to the physics field, and they won't be actually effective for what I want to talk about and to say to you. Long story short, I fell out of love with physics. I've always had this great picture in my mind about science as a bright road guiding us toward knowledge and new capabilities, real help in the daily life, and education for everyone. Particle physics is something really interesting and really worth it. I've loved working with groups of researchers from all around the world, contributing to the study of a rare subatomic process in the infinite sea of particles and signals coming from a proton-proton collision in the accelerators. I mean, I got always enthusiastic talking about the Higgs boson and the technology we use at CERN and in each department all over the world. I mean, the internet, the www, was born at CERN in 1989. What are we talking about? So, I mean, that's amazing. But unfortunately, this is not the whole picture. This is very close to an ideal, and I can assure you that I loved the idea of it. So I don't want to be polemic in this video about the research and how it works nowadays. This is just my very personal opinion and point of view. So bear in mind while listening to my rant that all the things that I'm telling you come from 7 years of personal experience in research, as a female researcher, as an Italian researcher, as a researcher in Bologna, in particle physics. So bear in mind, this is my very, very personal point of view. I know for sure that there are probably thousands of researchers out there who don't agree with me, and that's totally fine, because I don't want to agree with people. I want to share my experience, my personal experience and my personal point of view. So yeah, keep that in mind. So back to it. Experimental particle physics, which happen to be my field, is a huge machine. It's a big engine made by brilliant minds, clever people, expensive technologies, political deals, settlements, and a lot of money. Because unfortunately, the so-called basic science is another victim of capitalism. I'm not joking. I mean, this is something really close to the concept I want to talk about. CERN is a big machine, and it costs money, and money comes from deals, political agreements, settlements, alliances, internationally speaking. And everything is about money, because without money we could not run huge experiments under the ground. We could not even pay for the electrical energy we need to run them, for the power. And everything is truly worth it. I want to stress this because it may seem that, I mean, we could live happily our life without knowing anything about the Higgs boson. And that's true. I mean, that's fine. But then all the basic science seems to be a bit pointless. But apart from the fact that it's awesome to know more and more about the world we live in every single day, so apart from that, I cannot list to you all the technologies basic science has given to us in the past decades. We can now kill tumoral cells with a 98% success probability thanks to the particle accelerators, or we can diagnose tumors or any diseases well in advance thanks to all the detectors we use to look for the Higgs boson at CERN. So everything is connected. The technology transfer of basic science is huge and has a huge effect on our society. So we need to keep this in mind when we talk about basic science. So everything is truly important, and everything is extremely helpful and fascinating, and I think I will never stop to be fascinated by all of this. But money, money is still there, waiting. So physicists have to give confirmations and assurances to people who are actually paying for their experiments, and that's reasonable. But this means that results should be published, a lot of results, a lot of scientific papers, notes, documents, proceedings, everything reporting a lot of scientific results from a lot of studies that physicists do at CERN. Papers, papers, and papers. In physics, but I can easily guess in any other scientific branch, we say publish or perish. That's it. Publish or perish for two main reasons. One, if you don't publish, it means your experiment is not working and it's not worth it. So in case you need extra time to complete your work and to publish your results, you will not get extra money. Two, if you want to apply for a position literally anywhere in the world, you need to have a fat enough section of publications in your curriculum vitae. Otherwise, someone will get the job instead of you. Nice. So the real practical work that all this thing asks you to do is a lot, and actually is way far from the romantic rant you've just heard from me till now, because you have to get yourself published no matter what. As a PhD student, I worked more than 10 hours per day. Not rarely, I worked till 2 or 3 a.m. to complete something for a meeting the next day. And the worst thing is that no one will ask you to do so, but everyone expects this behavior from you. And why? Because it has always been so. As a postdoc researcher, for 4 years, I basically continued working as a PhD student, because the general politics of this kind of groups is that young researchers, who may be sometimes 30s, like me, do not have any power of decisions in terms of local group strategies or similar, and responsibility roles are very difficultly left to youngers. I don't want to point my finger against my group here in Bologna. This is something in common all around the world. It's something common and shared among all the different groups, at least in Italy. So you get little responsibilities, often the ones requiring you a lot of tedious and boring work, plus all the other work you have to do apart from the responsibility. As a postdoc researcher, I worked more than 10 hours per day. Not really. I worked till 2 or 3 a.m. Last time was for a paper publication that I was working on for the study I was coordinating. So I'm not saying it is not the correct way to pursue the result. I'm not saying what is correct and what is not in all this field. I just want to say that probably it doesn't fit me anymore. I mean, I don't want to work again all those hours just to complete 200 graphs or charts or endless numbers or tables, just to put something in a paper written quickly and under pressure, just to release the umpteenth scientific paper no one will read in the society. This is not for me anymore, and I'm glad I figured that out. I studied physics for something more creative and stimulating. I really want a job that can make me happy and that I can wake up in the morning full of energy for. And physics just doesn't do this job anymore for me. Or maybe it's the other way around. Maybe I don't fit physics research anymore, or maybe, yeah, I'm not okay. I'm not okay for this job anymore, and that's fine. I don't know. My original idea of science came from TV talks or documentaries or magazines or books I've read during my childhood and youth. So yeah, probably I've romanticized it. But yeah, there are of course other reasons why I left physics. They are actually less romantic and more practical, in a bad way, kind of. So as I said before, money leads the machine, even if the machine is the bright and glorious science. because yeah, money is needed to get people paid, or to get my PhD position paid, or my postdoc position paid, or even the permanent position. And this last one actually is so far from the reality a researcher lives in the daily life that almost no one still believes in it. So basically we do our job in precariousness, working all those hours per day and during the weekend, not knowing if this will pay you back in the future. I don't want to be too dramatic. I mean, I decided consciously to do this job. And I can assure you that no one among the researchers has been mistreated or forced to do this job. We do this consciously because we have passion for science, and it will be pointless to omit it. So for the permanent position at the university, you can run two different ways to try to get one. The full research way, let's call it this way, and the teaching way. So for the first one, you can get a permanent position applying for a national concorso made by 2 written exams and 1 oral exam, all about all the physics you have ever studied during your university path. So that's insane. Plus, you will be judged in terms of your curriculum vitae, where you will put all your publications, all the research activities you've done, all the outreach activities you've done, because outreach is meant to be a researcher's matter on a voluntary basis, of course. Then all the conferences you've joined and you've participated, and many other things actually. And you can imagine the competition, the insane competition among all the Italian researchers for that concorso. Nice. The other way is the teaching way. So basically you apply for a position lasting for 3 years, starting doing some amount of hours of teaching. Of course you have to continue with your research activities, your outreach activities, joining the conferences, maybe working on another experiment just to diversify your CV, or you have to, of course, supervise students. So after 3 years, if everything will be judged okay, you are not there yet, because you can make a further step toward the permanent position. You still have to spend 3 more years with more teaching plus all the other lists I already told you. So I don't want to talk about the insanity of all this because I think it's pretty obvious. But yeah, I don't like teaching. I always say that to my supervisor. They've never believed me. I don't like it. And on the other end, I don't want to spend months over the books again for a test that I've already tried in the past, and that's insane, just for the purpose of doing a job that doesn't fit me anymore. So the final decision of quitting physics, it may seem really obvious at this point, but actually I spent 1 year of my life thinking about this, because 12 years of physics out of 31 years of life, it's big. I mean, it's a big deal. At the very beginning, it felt like I was wasting all this huge amount of time of my life, and initially I didn't want to. So I procrastinated a lot on this decision because I didn't want to accept the fact that I was not completing that path I built in my life with so much effort. But yeah, then I realized that that was not the point. The point was, did I really want to be happy? Did I want to keep going with that job which didn't make me happy and actually hurted me a lot during my life in terms of stress and little time? Or did I really want that job which can actually make me really happy? Right now the answer seems very obvious. It is, but it has been tough. It has been a really hard time. I won't hide it for any reason, because this is the truth. I cried my eyes out a million times. I doubt myself very hard. I called myself weak and fearful. But at the end of the day, at the end of all this story, after a lot of lists of pros and cons, you have to believe me, after a very deep self-analysis, all the bad things still were heavier on the scale. So yeah, I guess I explained why I got to make this decision in my life. I hope this has been clear for you, because I realized at the very beginning of preparing all this video that I still had quite a confusion in my mind. So yeah, it has been a bit hard to wrap up everything. Okay. Lately I started thinking about what I will miss and what I want about this job. Let's start with what I'll miss, because I will get a bit emotional, and let's do it before everything else. I'll miss some of my colleagues for sure. I will miss for sure the daily life with them, discussing about something in front of a coffee, or complaining about my work while someone is smoking a cigarette outside. I will miss my supervisors for sure. They have been like fathers for me, especially during my PhD thesis. That was a really tough time. A very special relationship was born between me and all of them, and I'll miss the daily life with them for sure. I miss the international mood of everything. I loved it. I loved traveling for conferences, schools. I loved meeting new people from all around the world. I loved working with them and getting to know them more. I built some interesting friendships during those years thanks to this international aspect of the physics research. I miss the feeling of saying I'm a physics researcher. I mean, because I really fought so hard in my life to allow myself to say I'm a researcher. I mean, I spend a lot of energies and time, and I made a lot of sacrifices to get to this point. Yeah, I will miss this. What I won't miss, it's pretty obvious. All the things I've already told you, I've already listed to you during this video. I won't miss the rare free time, the constant pressure people put on you, feeling guilty to go home at 6 p.m, feeling guilty not answering emails over the weekends, not working during the weekends, being stressed for some and often meaningless editorial comments for an irrelevant paper. I won't miss the academic atmosphere, that one which makes you always feel like you owe something to your supervisors or the group in general just because you got a position. That atmosphere which wants you to be always available, because that's the only way you can guarantee yourself a permanent position in the future. So I really won't miss all this thing, let's call it this way. About my future, people at the university kept saying me, what do you think? Outside is not better than inside here. Well, who cares? I mean, I know it. I know the job world is hard outside, and I know there will be other employers who will pretend such an effort from me. But yeah, and I know even if I work as a freelance illustrator, I probably will work 10 hours per day. But that's different, because this will come from my choice for a project I believe in, or for something I really do care about with all my art. And I want a job I can create that can evolve with me and my needs and my capabilities and my necessities. I want a job that is creative and stimulating and interesting, and that can give people a reason to smile, to learn, and maybe to experiment. And I don't want a job where I have to produce more and more every day just for the sake of production. I need a job that gives me some space to take care of myself, to grow, to enjoy my life, my friends and my family. For a too long time, I prioritized my work instead of my friends and my family, and I'm living the consequences of this, for sure, for the sake of nothing at the end. And I'm really done with this. I've learned what is truly essential for me, not important, essential, and I am getting there. And I'm pursuing this goal, having well in mind what I like, what I don't like, what hurts me, and what instead makes me happy. It's constantly in evolution, and I don't know where this will lead me, but I thought that life is too short to continue doing a job which pulls you down. So, at this point of the video, I think I've said everything I wanted to say, hopefully. And I think now I can go through all the questions, some of the questions actually, that you left me on Instagram. First of all, thank you for all the questions you left me, and it's really a pleasure to see all this interest in this topic that is really important for me. During this Q&A session, I will answer 3 questions which actually sum up all the concept that you asked me on Instagram, and also because this video is being really long, so I don't want to go through all the questions actually. So, first question: what kind of side business as an illustrator did you have when you decided to quit your daily job? I mean, at what point you said, okay, this can be my full-time job now. I'm also a female researcher in science, and I know it's hard. Girl, I can feel you. This is a tricky point. When I decided to quit my job, I had some really nice commissions ongoing, and the idea, I wanted to put all my energies on this activity. But bear in mind that at that time, illustration was not paying my bills, and this could be risky. So what I can suggest to you is to think also about, well, think mainly at finances at the very start, because you have to survive and to pay your bills, and that's important as looking for the job of your life. Since I worked at CERN for 2 years, I was able to save some money that is now allowing me to focus on this new activity and to not worrying too much about incomes. But yeah, of course I'm scared because I have a soft pillow under my butt. That's true, but they are just savings. But yeah, one of the first things you have to think about are finances. Other question, how did you inform your colleagues and supervisors? Were they upset? I love this question. I really couldn't wait to answer this one because I'm an overthinker. That's the truth. But this part freaked me out the most. I started thinking seriously about this decision last spring, and I talked for the very first time about all this situation to my supervisors on November. So actually it took a lot of months just for me, just for thinking about all the pros and cons, the consequences, and everything that I already extensively talked about. At the very first time when I discussed with my supervisors, they actually didn't take me seriously, and they kept saying, don't worry, you're tired, that's okay to be tired, you worked a lot, you're exhausted, don't worry, everything will be okay. And at the very first time I actually believed it. I thought I was exhausted, because I truly was exhausted, because during the lockdown I worked at least 3 times the amount of work I usually did in my office, and I think many of you can relate to this. But I realized at the end that that was not the point, and I tried to make it crystal clear to them with so many discussions, with a lot of patience. They tried to change my mind a lot of times, very hard, because I was honestly one of the hardest workers they got in the group. It has been hard to convince them. I was convinced. They didn't believe me, maybe because they underestimated me, I don't know. I always had this sensation, this feeling that they didn't believe I could have ever done such a big change in my life. I had to have so many discussions with the same people, with different people, 2, 3, 10 times, always talking about the same topic. It has been tough. I ended up being exhausted just for talking about this with my supervisors and other components of the group. It has been hard. I spent January, February, March, at least 5 months talking with people, explaining my motivations, explaining my reasons. But at the end, I convinced them. I was convinced. It has been tough, it has been sad. At the end of April, I was exhausted, but I convinced them that that was the best choice of my life. So I received a lot of questions about how I decided to quit a job. What made you take this big decision? Was it hard? How did you decide? I think I've already explained this extensively during the video, but I want to stress something here, which is really important, and I don't know if I made this point during this video. And it's that I didn't quit physics for illustration. I did quit physics because of how the work is done nowadays, because I don't like the practical aspect of it, the useless pressure people put on you. the insane expectations people have on you, the weekend full of work, the lack of creativity in many tasks of this job, and the fact that staying in Bologna meant that I had to start teaching, and I really don't like teaching. Teaching is not my cup of tea. Okay, I can't believe we actually made it till here and we are at the end of this crazy video. It has been tough, it has been hard for me to write a script for this video, to go through all this journey again and to talk casually about it in front of a camera. It still hurts. I still feel a weird weight here on my chest when I talk about this. I mean, it's been 12 years of my life, so crazy. Okay, I think we can close the video here because I'm exhausted and worn out. I don't know if you can tell. Thank you for spending your precious time with me, listening to my rants and random thoughts for a long bunch of minutes. If you like this video, as usual, let me know leaving a thumb up, and if you're not subscribed to my channel, consider it. I'm using this like a mic, that's okay. If you're not subscribed to my channel, consider it. I always create content about art, life of a freelance illustrator, or draw with me, or digital illustration in general, so consider to subscribe to my channel. Otherwise, don't worry, you're already watching this video and you know that this means the world to me. So thank you again for watching this video. I hope it has been helpful and that you enjoyed it. And yeah, see you in the next one. Bye!
Thank you for coming, and thank you for trying to do anything to make me smile.